Okay. Well, hi everyone. I think it's gone live. Um, so my name is Karen Avacha, and I want to welcome you to the Nottingham Buddhist Centre, to the Shrine Room here for the Friday meditation drop-in class. It's actually the first time I've been back in the Shrine Room since lockdown began, and I've really been missing it. So it's pretty nice to be back here. A little bit strange not to know who's out there, if anyone. Uh, I guess I could imagine vast multitudes all sitting down to meditate together with me, though I'm pretty aware that's probably not what's happening right now. But anyway, whoever you are, you're extremely welcome. And yeah, good to see you. So I'm going to give it a few minutes to let people arrive. Um, Well, obviously, I'm pretty used to doing these classes, but downstairs in the Buddhist Center, with a circle of people, somewhere between 15 and 20, something like that. And we usually wait till about 5 past so that people can arrive if they're working nearby and it's their lunch break. So, yeah, I'll give it a few minutes. And what we're going to do uh, is what we always do at these classes. I mean, you may know that we have a kind of system of alternating two practices. So the two practices that we alternate are the Metta Bhavana, which is usually translated as cultivation of loving kindness. Um, and the other one is the one we're going to do today, which is the mindfulness of breathing. So, I can see there are three people here. I don't know who you are. Maybe you know me and maybe you don't, but hello, welcome. Maybe a few more will join us still. Yeah. So I'll say a little bit about those two meditations, maybe. So there are these two very fundamental meditations which we teach consistently here at the Buddhist Center. And there's a lovely thing that though they're very fundamental, there is no limit to them, really. They can take us as far as we want to go. They can be as deep as we want them to be, or as wide, or however you want to think about it. The mindfulness of breathing, which is the one we're doing today, is taken directly from instructions that come directly down from the Buddha, as far as we know. Oh, I've just seen that Lynn is joining us from Portugal. Isn't that amazing? Hey, hello. Yeah. So the mindfulness of breathing is the fundamental basis of awareness meditation. So we know that mindfulness meditation has had huge success, really. It's become very, very widely known in all sorts of circles, and it really is all based on these teachings, really, that come from the Buddha. The other practice that we do, which will happen next week, the Metta Bhavana, is it's also a mindful. I mean, in a way, all meditation is about awareness and mindfulness. But when we do the Metta Bhavana, we're particularly looking at our responses to other human beings. And what's key around all that is that awareness, when we become aware of something, we begin to be able to have a more conscious relationship with it, which also means that we can begin to make choices about what we do, including, pretty deeply ingrained mental habits. So before I say a whole lot more about the mindfulness of breathing, I'm just going to say a little bit about what's known as dana. So some of you may know that dana is a Buddhist term that means generosity. And it's just a very, very core quality, a core value. And we're very lucky here, or perhaps it's not luck, I guess it's not luck actually, that we're able to keep this center going on the basis of dana, on the basis of generosity. So that's also the generosity of people giving time right now outside. There's a guy called Ed who's voluntarily doing a lot of work on the outside of the building. And lots of us give time and thought and energy. But it's also obviously about generosity as regards money. Um, we're very pleased that we've managed to keep going as well as we have during the lockdown, because obviously we haven't got people coming in. Uh, and so it's completely been down to donations through the online routes and through standing orders. So the whole thing around how we run the centre is that we come at it in a really different way from the kind of barter and exchange system that goes on in the rest of the world, really. That we have this thing called a Dharma economy, which is really based on the fact that you give according to what you can give and you take according to what you need. So there's not an element of exchange in that. It's just about generosity and meeting what's needed. So it's worked really well for 24, 25 years nearly. Yep. But we are very dependent, particularly at the moment, because of course we don't have people coming through the door, not yet, and putting money in the Dana bowl. So we're very dependent. We haven't furloughed anyone because it's been so important to us to try and keep going during lockdown. And as you, I hope, will have clocked, there's been a lot of online stuff coming from the Buddhist Center out to everyone, and a way of trying to keep a sense of community and keep sharing meditation, the Dharma, all of that. So we haven't been furloughing, but we have been able to keep going on the basis of people's generosity. So please, at the end of this, you'll see there's a way to donate, or if you go to the our website, Nottingham Buddhist Centre, it's very easy to donate from there. The most helpful thing to us, of course, is standing orders, because then we can actually budget. We know, we have a kind of a base of what's coming in. So if you're not doing a standing order, maybe you would consider that. And if you are already doing a standing order, perhaps you would consider raising it a little if it's possible for you. We do know that it's hard times for people, and we've actually been blown away really by how generous people are being. We just need it to keep coming. Okay, good. Well, I'll talk a little bit about the mindfulness of breathing, and then we'll do about a half-hour meditation. So a little bit about why. Why do we meditate? Why do we do this practice? And there's probably many, many reasons. So I'm not in any way going to be able to cover that. But one of the things that always strikes me about the mindfulness of breathing, about awareness, is something about coming into real connection with our lives. Because most of the time, bad news, we're not in our lives actually, we're somewhere else. We're in the future, we're in the past, and also we're in our mental constructs. We're constantly, according to our conditioning, the way we view the world, our upbringing, our background, our ethnicity, our class, our genes, our everything. We're constantly interpreting the world according to our conditioning. So, even when we are in the now, there's a lot of what we call stories. The Buddhist word is prapancha. A lot of just mental proliferation going on, and often that gives rise to depression or anxiety or all sorts of interpretations that can lead us into conflict or negative states of mind. And we're not very much in actual contact with our experience. So this practice, the mindfulness of breathing, really is aimed to train us to really come into contact with experience, with what's actually happening, with the now. I mean, the thing about the now is you can never catch the now. It's now, and it's now, and it's now, and it's now. So, in a way, what's asked of us is something more like relaxing into the now, just relaxing into our awareness of what's happening, which is often very much to do with coming into our bodies. And it's very different from thinking about what's happening. I can think about what's going on in my toes, for example, or in my belly, or there's a way that there is just knowing. If I just sit back, actually, there is awareness about what's going on in my toes or my belly or wherever. So there's something, I really like this phrase, knowing is happening. In a way, if we sit back, knowing is happening. So I'm just going to say a little bit about thinking, about thoughts, because we are so used to this constant flow of thought. It's probably where a huge amount of our attention is most of the time, this kind of internal dialogue, thinking about things, what's going on, what happened yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow, what am I going to cook for tea, what does this person think about me, what do I think about them, what's happening in the world. So we spend most of our time pretty focused on a lot of that. And that's not going to disappear, nor do we expect it or want it to disappear. This isn't about trying to achieve blank mind. That's a really good way to set oneself up to kind of get into quite a conflictual kind of relationship with our thinking. Go away. Doesn't help. But what we can do is just kind of relate to our thinking as just another level, just another stream of experience. So just as we've got somatic experience going on, we can smell things, we can taste things, we can hear things. Even with our eyes shut, we see the light on our eyelids. So thinking is really just another sort of channel of experience that's going on. And what we try to do is not push it away, but also not get hooked by it. So there's a difference between noticing that you're thinking and getting involved in the thoughts and losing present awareness, which will happen. So I have a little image that I like using, and if you've done classes with me before, you've probably heard it, but I have this image of a railway bridge. Actually, I have an image of the railway bridges. I don't know if any of you know the little railway line that goes through the Hope Valley in Derbyshire. It's very sweet. And it has these very nice little square bridges, but it doesn't matter. It's just a railway line bridge. So there's lots of lines going underneath. And the bridge, you're standing on the bridge, and the bridge represents awareness, okay? So you're aware. You're noticing that you're aware. We notice, I'm present, I'm feeling the experiences in my body, I'm feeling my breath. So what happens is we're there in awareness, and then before we know it, the train of thought has come under the bridge, and we're not on the bridge of awareness anymore. We're on the roof of the train, half a mile down the track. Yeah, we've got swept away by the thought. But the magic thing is that as soon as you notice you're not in awareness, you're aware again. So you have this kind of magic onto the bridge again, if you see. If that's helpful, use it. If it's not helpful, please ignore it. But the idea is, the great thing is that every time we notice that we've got involved in thinking, we are back in awareness again. Yep. So it's really important not to beat yourself up for however many times you get swept away by a train of thought and then you notice, because every time you notice, you're reprogramming your brain. And the more you meditate and the more you just notice and are back in awareness again, and then another train of thought, and then you notice and you're back. All the time you're doing that, you're reprogramming your neural pathways and getting better and better at being self-aware. So, not just self-aware, actually aware of what's going on in an objective way. So you can just celebrate every time you notice and you come back. You can think, that's good. Yep. I'll just say a little bit about posture and a little bit about breath, and then I'll introduce the meditation and we'll get going. So posture is really important for a few reasons. I'll name a couple of them. So one is that whatever position you sit in, it needs to be sustainable. There is nothing spiritually advanced about being uncomfortable. It just interferes with meditation. So you want to find a posture that you can comfortably sit in for half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever. And you'll notice quite soon if you've set yourself up. I'd say if you've set yourself up in a posture that's really uncomfortable, don't be afraid to move into something more comfortable. However, it is important, various things are important about posture, and one of them is a sense of, didn't switch my phone off, excuse me. Sorry about that, let me switch my phone off. Okay, I hope that won't be okay. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is get this mixture of alertness and relaxation. And what we do with our bodies is really setting up the mental framework, because body and mind are not separate. And you know that if you sit in a very slouched sort of way, you're more likely to be a bit sleepy. If you sit like a ramrod, it's pretty likely that you're going to have quite a tight kind of meditation. So it's an art form. We keep working on how do I get this balance between alertness and relaxation. So one of the things is uprightness. And as I said, it's not a ramrod. So you may want to just sort of rock your body forward and backward to find a position where you have a sense of the spine rising up. So the lower half of your body is really nicely grounded. You have your feet flat on the floor. Yeah. You have a sense of really being supported by whatever you're sitting on, whether it's a stool or cushions or, in my case, a chair. Then you have a sense of the spine rising up. You have this idea of the golden thread that's so there's both a groundedness and an upwardness, but not rigid, which is why it's good just to experiment where your body feels nice and upright. And similarly with your neck. So we want a sense that the energy can flow nicely. So again, you may want to just move your head to just find a place where your skull feels nicely poised. We usually talk about kind of being upright and then just having the chin very slightly tucked. Yeah, not like this, but just a little bit. So, and you want your hands well supported. You might want a cushion or a blanket around your waist. So your hands are well supported. So your whole body is supported, alert, but not straining in any way. And hopefully that's a good sustainable posture that will encourage the meditation. Good. So just lastly, a little about the breath. Probably don't need to say much about the breath. So we use the breath as the anchor in this meditation. So it is the central thing that we keep returning to, that keeps us in the present, just keeps us with the flow of breath. So we're not looking at any particular way of breathing. It's not like a yogic breathing where maybe you do different nostrils or different, it's just natural breathing, which will change. Sometimes it's deeper and slower, sometimes it might be a bit higher and faster. It's not something to worry about, it's something to observe, just how it is, the breath, and it will keep changing. The breath is really important. The breath is really important. You'll die if it's not happening. But it's a great connector. The breath is life, really. It's something that we share, this act of taking in what we need, releasing what we don't need, expanding, contracting, and we can notice so many places in the body. We can feel it in the face, in the chest, in the throat, in the belly, in the pelvis, sometimes in the back, the ribs expanding and contracting. Sometimes people get to feel it in their limbs. So it's really, you can get really interested in the breath. And also the breath keeps changing. But it is our great connection with life, you know. We don't own the breath. The breath isn't ours. It keeps going whether we're conscious or asleep or unconscious. You know, so it's not ours. The air is not ours. We kind of borrow it. So it's a great connector, really, with life. And it's always there. You know, if things are going on that are difficult in our life, we can always just find the breath, settle into the now again, you know, calm ourselves. So it's a wonderful resource as well as keeping us alive. Yeah, so the meditation is in 4 stages. And I will go through these with you as we're going through the meditation. So the first stage, first 2 stages, we use counting. It's just to help the mind. It kind of gives the mind something to do while it settles into meditation, into this relationship with present experience, with what's happening now, what's actually happening now in this moment. So in the first stage, we breathe in, we breathe out, and we drop a number 1 silently, just at the end of the out breath. Breathe in, breathe out, drop a number 2 in, breathe out, up to 10 if we get there. It may well be that your mind goes off, you forget where you were, just come back. As soon as you're aware again, come back, start at 1 again. It's not a competition. It's just something to help us notice the breath, to start to anchor ourselves in awareness of breath. So we'll do that. And then the second stage, we do something very similar, but there's a little subtle shift, which is that instead of doing the counting at the end of the out breath, we make this slight difference and we count just before we breathe in. So we breathe in, we breathe out, and just before we breathe in, 1. Breathe out, just before we breathe in again, 2, and so on. And it's got a different quality. See if you notice that. It sort of shifts the focus a little bit from out breath to in breath. And they do have a different quality to them. You know, the out breath tends to be relax. The in breath tends to be a little more invigorating. In the third stage, we let go of the counting and we just stay with an awareness of the breathing, and we allow, if it feels okay, we allow the awareness to kind of be a little bit broader. So maybe we're taking in more of our physical experience, while holding the breath as a kind of central anchor. We can allow ourselves to relax and let the awareness take in more of what's happening in our experience. And then in the fourth and final stage, we do this thing of kind of honing it down. So refining the breath really, a little bit like a laser or something. And we focus on the area where the breath enters and leaves the body, which is probably slightly different for everybody according to their physiology of your face. But usually it's something around the upper lip and the nostrils. So it's where you first breathe in, breathe out, where you first experience the breath. So it's subtle. You can feel it now, perhaps. As you breathe out, you know, I just get a little kind of, a little warm feeling on my upper lip. So that's it. So if you'd like to just settle yourself into a good posture, so just taking a moment or two to get that sense of uprightness and relaxation, we're going to do about half an hour of meditation. And I'll ring bells and I'll introduce each stage. I probably won't say very much, but you don't need to worry about remembering the stages. And I think I just want to say that there is a quality. It's not a cold thing, awareness. Awareness, they sometimes talk about awareness in terms of intimacy. It's almost like this awareness that's so intimate with your experience. And there can be quite a tenderness somehow, or a warmth perhaps, in this quality of attention, full attention. Okay, so start the meditation. So mindfulness of breathing, first stage. So in this stage, we're dropping the count in just after we breathe out, just at the end of the out breath. Just really allowing yourself to relax into your experience. As you breathe out, allowing the body to settle, sensing the support, whatever you're sitting on, of the floor. Just beginning to notice the sensations in the body, and particularly the sensations of breathing. Just noticing what's happening now. So now in this second stage, I'm going to move the count to just before you breathe in. relaxing into the present moment. Stage 3 of the meditation. So we're going to let go of the counting now and just stay focused using our breath as the anchor and just noticing awareness of our body, of our experience, but very much using the anchor, the breath, to keep us present and centered. Just allowing knowing to happen. Letting yourself notice awareness is present. And now for the fourth stage, just the invitation is to focus awareness around where the breath enters and leaves your body, so around the nostrils and the upper lip. Just noticing quite subtle sensations, probably. So in a few moments, we're going to end the meditation. When you do that, I'd like to invite you to come out gently. Give yourself a few moments. Don't rush yourself, but just allow yourself to just feel the effect of the meditation a little. So thank you very much for joining me in that. Lynn, Sophie, Ravindra, I know you three are out there. Just remarkable to think that we're meditating together with all the way to Portugal and wow, all the way to India. So thank you very much. As you know, this happens every Tuesday and Friday lunchtime. Also Tuesday evening, I think at 7:30. You might need to check that on the website. So do check out the Nottingham Buddhist Centre website. We have Sangha night every Wednesday, and there are other things in the pipeline. So just keep an eye on what we're doing. Oh, thank you. It's lovely to hear from you all. Yep. And please, if you feel able to donate, please do. We very much want to keep all this going. And hopefully, for those of you that are around in Nottingham, maybe it won't be too long till we can actually be together in the shrine room. But yeah, look after yourselves well. Have a good rest of Friday. Bye.